Good afternoon, boys and girls. I am here to read our historical fiction novel, Once. We are in chapter 13. Yesterday we read and found out that Felix is with a man named Barney, who seems to be taking care of a bunch of other Jewish kids and protecting them from Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. Felix has learned who Adolf Hitler is and how awful of a man he is and how he hates Jews. And it leaves Felix questioning, who else hates the Jews? Does God hate Jewish people? Who else out there does? Because this is big news for him. He's also a little mad because they're hiding in this basement with Barney because, like I said, Barney's protecting them from the Nazis. And Felix just wants to get out there and find his mom and dad. So he's a little angry. He doesn't want to share his stories that he's always shared in the past before. All the kids are bothering him to share his stories, and he's just not in the mood. He's feeling really down and angry, which I could understand. So let's move on to chapter 13. Once I escaped from an underground hiding place by telling a story. It was a bit exaggerated. It was a bit fanciful. It was my imagination getting a bit carried away. It was a lie. Barney, I whisper, tugging his sleeve as he creeps up the cellar steps. He spins around, startled, and nearly drops his candle. He thought I was asleep like the other kids. I need to come with you, I whisper. Barney frowns. I start to explain why I have to go with him. He puts his fingers on his lips and signals for me to follow him up the steps. I climb after him through the doorway in the ceiling and find myself in a huge room full of dusty old machinery. So it seems like it's a basement of like maybe an old factory. Barney puts his leather bag down, gently lowers the trap door, and locks it with a padlock. So it's one of those cellar doors that are in the floor. Okay, the door is in the floor and you climb up. He sees me looking around and points to the machinery. Printing press, he says, for printing books. Not now, before. I know what he means. Before the Nazis went right off books and Jews. So, says Barney quietly, why do you need to come with me? I take a deep breath. I need to find my parents, I say. Urgently, because of my rare illness. Barney thinks about this. He gives me a look that I'm fairly sure is sympathetic. This is going well. Mom and Dad have got my pills, I say, for my rare illness. If I don't take the pills, my rare illness will get worse and I could die. Barney thinks about this some more. What exactly is this rare illness? He asks. Suddenly I realize what he's concerned about. The other kids catching it. And him. Don't worry, I say. It doesn't invade other people. Barney's eyes are twinkling in the candlelight. He almost looks amused. I feel indignant. People shouldn't be amused by other people's rare illnesses. So, just to review right now, Felix is making up a story that he has a rare sickness and he has to get pills and he has to go find his mom and dad. Because what does Felix really want to do right now? Go find his mom and dad. If I don't find mom and dad and take those pills in the next 2 hours, I say, I'll get warts growing inside my tummy and my pee will turn green. I stop myself saying any more. I may have gone a bit too far already. Barney is actually smiling now. Zelda's right, he says. You are a good storyteller. Poop, I did go too far. Barney suddenly looks serious. She also told me, he says, that you haven't seen your parents for nearly 4 years. I feel myself blushing in the candlelight. What a stupid storytelling mistake. That was as stupid as Father Ludwig telling us Adolf Hitler is a great man. Desperately, I try to think of a way to make the story better. Would Barney believe me if I tell him that I only have to take the pills once every 4 years? I don't think so. This is pathetic. I can't tell a decent story to save my life, or Mom and Dad's. Barney puts his hand on my shoulder, and I wait to be escorted back down into the basement. But that doesn't happen. Barney hands me the candle, picks up his bag, and steers me toward a big rusty door in the wall of the printing factory. So Barney doesn't believe his story. I'm glad you want to come with me, Felix, he says. Why? I say, surprised. Barney suddenly looks very serious. I have to confess something, he says. I read one of the stories in your notebook. I stared at him, stunned. He just doesn't seem like the sort of person who'd read a private notebook without permission. I'm sorry, he says, but I wanted to find out what I could about your parents. Before I could say anything about my stories being dumb and not true, Barney grips my shoulders and looks me right in the eyes. You are a very good storyteller, he says. I don't know what to say. Before I could think of something, Barney goes on. The reason I'm glad you're coming with me, Felix, he says, is because I need your help. We pause in the doorway of the printing factory while Barney looks up and down the dark street. In the moonlight, I can see his leather jacket has a small hole in the back. I wonder if it's a bullet hole. Did Barney get shot once? Did his family? Is that why he's looking after other people's kids in a secret cellar? It might not be a bullet hole. A candle flame could have done it, or a rat. Barney might be a teacher or something. The Nazis might have burnt all the books in his school, so he brought some of the kids here to hide them. This is the dangerous part, whispers Barney, still squinting up and down the street. If anyone sees us leaving this building, we're sunk. Or he could be a sailor. Come on, says Barney. All clear, let's go. So it's the middle of the night where the streets are quiet, no one's around. They can't come out of that printing factory or let anyone see them coming out of the printing factory because then the Nazis will know they're hiding in that basement. The streets of the city are filthy, scraps of paper and rubbish everywhere. Some of the buildings have got bits missing from them. The whole place is deserted. I know it's night and everything, but we haven't seen a single person apart from a couple of dead bodies on a street corner. I manage not to cry. Barney makes us cross over to the other side, but it's all right. I've already seen they aren't Mom and Dad. Where are all the people, I say? Indoors, says Barney. There's a curfew. That means everybody has to stay indoors after 7 at night. We go down a narrow lane with tall apartment buildings on both sides. I can't see a single person through any of the windows. I read once that cities have electric lights, but there doesn't seem to be much electricity going on around here. Finding Mom and Dad isn't going to be easy, even if I can slip away from Barney while he's concentrating on getting food. What happens if people don't do the curfew? I ask. They get shot, says Barney. I look at him in alarm. I could tell from his voice he's not joking. He holds up his leather bag. We'll be all right, he says. I wonder what's in the bag. Money, maybe? Or something the Nazis need. I hope it's not guns they could use to shoot Jewish booksellers. I change the subject. Why is there a curfew, I ask. Dad taught me to use every new word as much as possible after hearing it for the first time. This is a ghetto, says Barney. It's a part of the city where the Jews have been sent to live. The Nazis make the rules here. I think about this. Barney knocks on a door, and while we wait, he turns to me with a serious expression. Felix, he says, you might not be able to find your parents. I know that's a hard thing to hear, but you might not. It is a hard thing to hear. Luckily, he's wrong. The Jewish people who've been brought to the city, I say, are they all in the ghetto? Or are there other ghetto curfew places as well? Barney doesn't answer. Perhaps I didn't say the new words right. Okay, so where they are is called a ghetto. It means a place where they take all the Jews and make them live there. Okay, it's almost like they have to live in those areas. There's curfews. You can't go out during certain hours. You have to go inside. So where are Barney and Felix going? I have no idea. Let's continue. A woman leads us into a back room in the apartment. There are several people in the room, all wearing coats and all standing around a bed. The man lying on the bed is wearing a coat too and holding his head and groaning. Lamp, please, says Barney. Somebody hands Barney an oil lamp. He bends over the bed and looks into the man's mouth. The man groans even louder. I glance at the other people. They don't look very well either, though none of them are groaning. Barney opens his bag and takes out a bundle of metal poles and leather straps. He fits the poles together using little metal wheels to make a kind of robot arm. From his bag, he takes the foot pedal from a Singer's sewing machine like Miss Glick used to have. He connects the poles to the pedal with the leather straps. I don't know, is he a doctor of some sort? My imagination is in a frenzy. Is Barney going to show these people how to mend their clothes? Their coats are fairly ragged. Or is this machine he's invented that helps people grow food in their own homes? There are lots of damp patches on these walls, and these people do look very hungry. After all, this is 1942, so anything's possible. Salt water, says Barney. While a couple of the people get water from a bucket, Barney attaches a short needle to the end of the robot arm and pedals the sewing machine thing with his foot. The straps make the needle spin around very fast with a loud humming noise. Suddenly I realize what Barney has just put together. A dentist's drill. Barney gives the man in the bed a glass of salty water and a metal bowl. Rinse and spit, he says. The man does. I stare in amazement. I take my glasses off and wipe them on my shirt and put them back on. Barney is a dentist. Mom went to a dentist once. Me and Dad met him in his waiting room. He was very different from Barney. He was a thin, bald man with a squeaky voice who didn't do house calls. Felix, says Barney, over here, please. I jolt to attention. Barney wants me to help him. I've never been a dental's assistant before. Will there be blood? I squeeze through the people until I'm next to Barney. He's taken the top off the lamp and is holding the tip of the drill in the flame. Heat kills germs. I've read about that. Felix, says Barney as he dips the drill tip into the water the man has spat into the bowl. Tell the patient a story, would you? The water bubbles as the drill cools. My brain is bubbling too with confusion. A story? Then I get it. When Mom went to the dentist, she had a shot to dull the pain. Barney hasn't given this patient a shot. Times are tough, and there probably aren't enough pain-dulling drugs in ghetto curfew places. Suddenly, my mouth feels dry. I've never told anyone else a story to take their mind off pain. And when I told myself all those stories about Mom and Dad, I wanted to believe them. Plus, I didn't have a drill in my mouth. This is a big responsibility. Open wide, says Barney. He starts drilling. Go on, Felix, he says. The groans of the patient and the grinding of the drill and the smell of burning from the patient's mouth make it hard to concentrate, but I force myself. Once, I say, a boy called William lived in a castle in the mountains, and he had a magic carrot. The patient isn't looking at Barney anymore. He's looking at me. If the boy held the carrot right, I go on, he could have 3 wishes about anything, including parents and cakes. All right, so let's stop there. So we have now figured out a little bit more about this character, Barney. He's a dentist. He's going out at night to help people with their pain in their mouths. It seems like he's probably, I'm assuming, helping the Jews, okay? There's a curfew, which means people aren't allowed outside after 7 o'clock at night. Okay, there's hours where they're allowed to go outside. So that's why he had to sneak out in the middle of the night. And he's bringing Felix along with him to help with his patients. I'm sure you've been to the dentist before. I'm not sure if you've ever gotten a shot in your mouth, but that shot actually helps the pain. It doesn't hurt as much. So because times are tough, they don't have any of that medicine. So Barney has taken Felix along to help keep the patient's mind off of the pain while he fixes their teeth. So we didn't get to finish chapter 13. I will definitely finish chapter 13 tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this part of the chapter, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Take care.